All right, let's go.
Individuals and businesses all over America have avoided paying taxes for years. In 2009, a study was conducted that said 47% of the individuals in America avoided paying all taxes. The Tax Policy Center says that income is too low, they qualify for credits, deductions, and exemptions that virtually eliminated all of their tax liability. Corporations have been avoiding taxes in 5 different ways. According to Webster's Dictionary, subsidiaries are grants by the government to assist enterprises that are advantageous to the public. They use transfer pricing, which creates subsidiaries where no corporate taxes are enforced, like in the Cayman Islands, offshore, and overseas. They use nowhere income, which is income that is not taxable in any state in the United States. An example of this is if a company like Nails Incorporated had all of its property and payroll in 2 of the states, but only sold 10% of its products in those states, then 30% of the 10% of their sales would be taxed. So that's only 3% of all of their profits would be taxed in America. They also use income shifting, which moves profits to tax shelters, which are places that don't enforce corporate taxes. Most of these are overseas in places like Bermuda. And finally, they use tax havens, where places that have no set tax limits. These places are common in tourist areas, Cancun, Mexico, any kind of those places. They don't have tax limits set on their products, so whoever makes them can charge as much in taxes as they would like. Today, I would like to inform you of the problems with the current tax policy, propose a solution, and show you how the future may look if we adopted these changes. First, we need to rethink the policy. A report by the Corporation for Enterprise Development and the Annie E. Casey Foundation showed that $400 billion federal assets, the building budget, subsidies to buy homes, save for education, or plan for retirement, is completely backwards. Low-income families don't earn enough money to get itemized benefits. Low-middle-class families that earn less than $50,000 may get about $500 back at the end of the year. Upper-middle-class families earn enough to where they are fair off, and so they don't qualify for any tax returns at all, and they end up paying the taxes of the lower-class families that can't afford it. And finally, the upper class, the people that earn more than $1 million get, on average, $95,820 back in support from the government. Robert S. McIntyre, the director of Citizens for Tax Justice, examined tax filings for corporations such as Boeing, GE, Microsoft, and it said that there were many shelters and loopholes that rewarded companies that aggressively avoided paying their taxes and punished those that did not. According to the study, it said a quarter of the companies paid the full 35% in taxes, and then a similar proportion paid less than 10% that they owed the government. McIntyre says that companies who are paying the full 35% ought to demand that those who are paying less than 10% pay their share. He states that only by closing the loopholes will we have real benefits, including a fair tax system, reduced federal budget deficits, and more resources to improve our roads, bridges, and schools. Things that are really important for economic development here in the United States. Even though that's daunting, there is a way that we can make all of our taxes more equal. The solution here is that everyone should pay an equal percentage of their taxes, and corporations should not be afforded loopholes or tax breaks. The current system is based on a tax percent where if you make so much money, you'll pay so many in taxes. So if your household brings in $50,000, you may pay 10%. If you bring in $300,000, you may pay 20%. But there are many ways that individuals and other businesses are avoiding paying their taxes. According to Deloitte Tax, a tax analysis firm, it said that a family of 4 that makes $50,000 can completely eliminate all of the taxes they owe to the government. The standard deduction of $50,000 is $11,400, and they also receive 4 exemptions of $3,650 each. leaving a $24,000 net income that they bring into their house. The tax on that is $2,769. If they have 2 children under 17 years old, they receive $1,000 in credit for each of those children. Also, they get making work pay, and since they file jointly, they receive $800 more on top of that. This $2,800 credit exceeds their $2,769 that they owe in taxes, and they actually receive the $31 profit off of their taxes from the government. By removing credit and eliminating these instances, everyone should be able to pay equally. Loopholes that encourage businesses to avoid taxes in the United States should also be removed. Boeing avoided taxes for 3 years using the subsidiaries, transfer pricing, nowhere income shifting, and tax havens. Now I'm going to tell you about the future that could be made if we implemented these changes. First, the economy would drastically improve. Individuals would become more responsible for their own taxes, and those individuals that were paying for the ones who couldn't pay would no longer have to pay for them, so they would have more money to spend. Also, those who weren't paying at all would be forced to pay their share. Even though everyone would be paying their share, some people would still think that they shouldn't have to pay their taxes at all because they've been used to not paying for years. If businesses paid all 35% of their taxes, Congress may also be able to lower the tax rate for everyone. The average that a corporation in America pays is 4 to 7% of the 35% that they owe. America's deficit would decrease, even if businesses only paid between 20 and 25% of the taxes due. The economy would improve as more jobs were created and people would be able to spend more money because they would be taxed less. In conclusion, America would overall be better off. Businesses would not be able to use loopholes, and no one would receive the common tax breaks that guarantee people can eliminate some of their taxes. The tax rate would possibly be decreased if everyone paid their fair share. The poverty level would decrease and the literacy rate would go up as new jobs were created and people had more access to wealth and resources. Most important, America's deficit would decrease, stimulating the economy and possibly getting us out of the recession.